The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. When Jesus came down from the mountain, great crowds followed him. And behold, a leper came to him and knelt before him, saying, "Lord, if you will, you can make me clean." And he stretched out his hand and touched him, saying, "I will be clean." And immediately his leprosy was cleansed. And Jesus said to him, "See that you say nothing to anyone, but go show yourself to the priest and offer the gift that Moses commanded for a proof to the people." The Gospel of the Lord. The touch of Jesus brought healing to the leper. We're not allowed to touch each other at the moment, but we know that when we touch people with love and care, with the intention of healing and concern, that touch is hugely important. In fact, if a child grows up never being touched, that child does not know how to relate to people. And I was touched recently, not by a physical touch, but by a story, a real story that I was told. I was recently talking to a person at risk. That's a new name that I am trying to get accustomed to using, rather than to say somebody is a drug abuser or a substance abuser, but to rather say they are a person at risk. It just sits better with me. It shows them more respect. And I was talking recently to a person at risk, and we were talking about the fact that when he was high, he always read the Bible. He said, "Father, I don't understand that when I was high, I had taken my fix, I'd injected myself, I was alone, I was on my high, but every time I was on a high, well, most times, I would get out my Bible and start reading." He said, "Why is that, Father?" He said, "I don't understand it." Anyway, so we were having our conversation, and it seemed that in those moments when he was high on his drug of choice, it was that time when he felt that he could talk to God face to face. That's the only time he had courage. And the only way he knew to do it was to take out the Bible and read. That was the only thing that he could do, he could think to do. I've subsequently asked other people at risk if this is their experience, and many of them say the same thing. That when they are high on their drug of choice, they get into contact with God in a very real way. And I've found that quite touching, that in their moment, not of high ecstasy, but a high reality of their own life, because in those times they realized, yes, they may be high, but they knew that their life was in the pits. They knew that this was a time that they were face to face with reality, that they couldn't avoid it anymore, and they did not like what they were doing. Because they knew, they could see clearly that one fix leads to the next. But it was in that moment, in those moments when they were high and honest with themselves, that most of them, if not all of them, tried to reach out to God. Here we have the leper coming and kneeling. Isn't it a similar experience? Pleading to be clean. And he stretches out his hand by way of saying, I see you, I acknowledge you, I will not reject you. And in that moment, the leper was healed. So today, we might not see many lepers, even though it does exist. But maybe there are many other people who simply need to be touched, not by our wisdom, not by our cleverness, not by words of wisdom and not by telling them what to do, but just simply a touch without words, acknowledging their presence in their own dilemma, whatever it may be. We are all lepers at some stage or other. If we've never been a leper, then I wonder if we really know who God really is. And so let us be that instrument of God for those who feel that no one wants to help, no one wants to touch. You and I are Jesus for them. Amen.